Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jane and today I'm doing the reading habits tag or the chaotic habits tag, how you want to call it. Tags are always really fun and I think that this tag is really interesting because everyone has different reading habits. So today we're going to learn my reading habits and if I'm skipping chapters, when I usually stop reading and more stuff. So let's get started. First question. Do you have a certain place at home for reading? Okay, so usually I like to read when I'm laying down. So I prefer to read or on the bed or on the couch. But I don't have a particular place for reading at home. Like I usually read on my couch, but I can read like anywhere. Sometimes I read on my chair near the computer. So yes, I just don't have a certain place, but my favorite one is the couch. It's also where I usually film my reading vlogs. Question 2. Bookmark or a random piece of paper? So once I was the random piece of paper type, but right now I'm the bookmark type. Using bookmarks is really fun, especially because also bookmarks are really pretty and also because I usually pick a bookmark based on the book. Like most of the time the bookmark isn't related to the book at all, but I like to pick bookmarks that give me the vibe of the book. And I also started to order a lot of really cheap bookmarks. I usually order bookmarks from AliExpress because they have a huge variety. I go to AliExpress and I always pick really cheap bookmarks, and then I have a lot of bookmarks that I can choose from. So yes, it's really fun to start reading a book and then choosing a bookmark, especially for this book. It puts me in a more reading mood. So yes, bookmarks are just really fun. Can you just stop reading? Or you need to stop reading after a chapter or after a certain amount of pages. Okay, so actually my favorite way of reading is in one sitting. Now, I can't always read in one sitting. Sometimes the book is really hard to read, so it takes more time, especially in fantasy books. And I don't always have time to read in one sitting, but usually I prefer to do it this way. And when I have to stop reading, I prefer to stop reading in an end of the chapter. Or sometimes you have in chapters spaces between the paragraphs, if you know what I mean, like a pause in the middle of a chapter. So I prefer to stop reading in a pause or in an end of a chapter. It really bothers me to stop reading like in a middle of a sentence or even in the middle when a character is talking. The reason that I love to read books in one sitting is because I love to start something and to finish it right away. I definitely prefer to binge series and not to start series and then like take a long time until I finish them, because between the time that I read one book and another I forget a lot of things, and also if I remember what happened I'm not in the mood anymore. It's just fun to get into a book and like to be in this book the whole journey and then finish it and not stop a lot in the middle, because like this I don't feel like I can really get into the story. But again, I don't always have time to read a book in one sitting. I wish I could read all the books in the world in one sitting, but I can't. So yes, preferably I will finish a book as soon as possible with as least pauses as possible. But if I need to stop reading, I prefer to stop reading in an end of chapter or in a pause in the middle of a chapter. Question 4. Do you eat or drink while reading? Okay, so of course I drink or eat while reading. Like reading takes a lot of time. Of course I will be thirsty or hungry. I also drink a lot of water, so of course I'm going to drink while reading. And yes, of course I'm snacking, but I'm never eating like a full meal when I'm reading. But I always really careful. Like of course I'm afraid like to ruin the book with food, so I always snack really carefully. But yes, I drink and snack when I'm reading, just really carefully. Question 5. Multitasking. Music or TV while reading? Okay, so I don't think like I can watch TV while I am reading. Like how can I concentrate in both of the things? But I do listen to music while I'm reading. Usually I don't listen to music with words. Like I'm listening to background music more. Like I love to listen to reading music or ambient sounds. I also really love to choose the music based on the book that I'm reading. Like if I'm reading a fantasy book, I will listen to some kind of fantasy music music. Folklore music is really good for fantasy. And if I'm reading romance or something romance and like you get the thing, I really love to pick the music based on the mood of the book because it gets me really into the story. So yes, I really love to listen to music, but it's never like music with words because it's really hard to concentrate on the book when the music is really loud. Question 6. One book at a time or several at once? So of course one book, like it feels really hard for me to read several books in the same time. So like you already know, I prefer to read a book in one sitting and to finish it as quick as possible. And I feel that if I'm stopping a book and then starting to read another one, I just won't get back to the first book, never. I tried to read several books at the same time a few times in my life, but again, I never got back into the first book, no matter how much interesting it was. It just was really hard for me because I felt like it was so long ago because I already read another book. So as if I'm starting a book and then starting to read another one, I just won't get back into reading the first one. And also if I'm reading a book and I'm really feeling that I don't want to read this book anymore and I want another book, this is usually a sign that I need to DNF this book and that I'm not enjoying this book enough. So yes, for me it's one book at a time. Question 7. Reading at home or everywhere? Okay, so I prefer to read at home. Like I feel that if I'm reading outside there is always a lot of distractions. Also if I'm trying to read on a ride, like in a bus or in a train, I always feel really nauseous, so I prefer not to. But I really love reading and not always you have time reading, but when I'm busy and when I don't have a lot of time to read, I just read everywhere. Like there was a lot of times in my life that a book took me a lot of time to read and I read it everywhere, on a train, on a bus, at school, at work, no matter what. So yes, I prefer to read at home on my couch to finish a book in one sitting or as quick as possible, but you don't always can. So when I'm more busy, I just read everywhere. Question 8. Reading out loud or silently in your head? People read out loud for themselves. Who is reading out loud? Like I can understand people who reading for another people out loud, but for yourself? Like you read out loud or you know someone that read out loud? How is it work? It's interesting to know because I never thought even about reading out loud. Like of course I'm reading in silent, just reading and thinking about everything in my head. So yes, I'm not reading out loud. Question 9. Do you read ahead or even skip pages? Okay, so before I filmed this video, I was looking at another Reading Habits Stacks videos to see the question and everything. And I was really shocked when I found out that people actually skip pages. And after I heard people like saying why, I understand it. But I don't think that I can possibly do it. Like I never even thought of the possibility of skipping pages because I feel that if you skip pages, you just miss things. I need to read in order. I can't skip anything. I feel that if I had a book with one page missing, I just couldn't read this book with this one page missing. Like you can't know if this page is important or not because maybe it is. So yes, like you understand, I'm never skipping pages. I just read in order. Question 10. Breaking a spine or keeping it like new? Okay, so for me, it's keeping it like new. I can understand the beauty in second-hand books, but I usually prefer to buy my books new because I really love the new look of a book. And I really hate when spines break. Like, I actually prefer paperbacks versus hardcovers, but the biggest pro in hardcovers is that they are in such good condition after you read the book. And also I feel like you have two kinds of paperbacks. You have the really fluffy ones that never break, which are my favorite type of books. They are just so fun to read. They are so fluffy, they don't break, they always look in a really good condition. And then you have this kind of a paperback. You hear it? I hate it. Like, just look at the spine. This is such a broken spine. Like, I read this book in 2 days and it looks so bad after I finished reading it, and I really hate when this happens. So yes, I prefer my books in a perfect condition, as new as possible, without spine breaks. But almost 100% from the English books that I own, I actually order, because where I live I don't have a big variety of English books in bookstores. So yes, I usually order books, so I never know how the paperback is going to be, the fluffy one or the one with the spine that breaks. So if you have a way knowing which kind of paperback is going to be, please share it with me, because I really want to know which kind of paperback I'm going to buy. But yes, I really hate the ones that break, and I try to keep my books as new as possible. Question 11. Do you write in your books? Okay, so like you understand from the previous question, I like to keep my books as new as possible, but I do think that annotating books is really special, because it makes the book really personal to you. I never wrote in a book, I never annotated a book, and if you were asking me this question a year ago, I would say that I will never write in a book. But actually, in the last time, I'm starting to think about maybe trying annotating a book. I'm really afraid to do it, because like I said, I like my books to look as new as possible, and also I feel like if you annotate a book, you can't really unhaul it. And I actually do unhaul books sometimes, because not always you want to read a book, and sometimes I even sell them. And when a book is written in, you can't really sell it. But again, annotating books and write your thoughts inside of books feels really personal. So I don't know, maybe I will never have the courage to write in a book, or maybe I won't be feeling like there is a book that I want to write in, never. But maybe it will happen someday. And I guess that if I will be ever annotating a book, I will do it with a book that I really love, maybe a book that I'm going to read a lot of times. So yes, right now I never wrote inside of a book. I also really scared to do something like this, but maybe I will consider one day trying to do it. So yes guys, this is the end of the reading habits tag. I hope you enjoyed this video and enjoy knowing how I usually read and what is my reading habits. I'm uploading 2 times a week on Sundays and Wednesdays. The next video will come on Wednesday, and it will be another episode of my binge reading series, the series on my channel where I binge read a whole series at once. I'm really excited for this episode, and I'm really hoping that you're excited too. But until the next video, you can check more videos by me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone!